Guys, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. My name is Eunice Abiola, aka Eunice Abi, and in today's video we will be stitching together the wrap top that we cut in our last video. And as you can see on the screen, in our last video we were able to cut out this wrap top. I'm going to put a link to the cutting part of this wrap top in the description box and in the comment section, so do well to check any of them. And yeah, we're able to cut out this wrap top, and in today's video we'll be stitching it together. Here are all the things we cut out in our last video, guys. So the first thing we are going to do is to turn the neckline by placing the fabric and the interfacing right sides facing each other, and I'm going to go ahead to use my pin to secure this, after which I'll go to my sewing machine and stitch that using 0.5 inch seam allowance. I'll do the same thing for the front part of this top. I'll place the interfacing right sides facing each other, and I would pin that down as well. Okay, and I will do the same thing for the left side of the top. After stitching that on the sewing machine, here's what I came up with. I'm going to show you how to top stitch your neckline so that it sits perfectly and it doesn't gape. What I'm going to do now is to stitch down the allowance onto the interfacing, towards the interfacing, as you see me doing. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and trim off the excess allowance, after which I would go ahead and stitch it down the exact way I'm showing you guys. So after trimming out the excess allowance, I would go ahead to notch it in a way that once I'm done, this neckline is going to be nice and flat. Okay, then I'll go to my sewing machine and stitch that down towards the interfacing. That is what we call top stitching. Then I'll also hem the base before I come back. Just hem it once so that it's not too bulky. So here's what I have when I was done. I have top stitched and I have hemmed the base of the interfacing. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. I'm going to stitch that down using 0.5 inch seam allowance. Okay, then I'm also going to hem the base like I did for the back bodies. Here's what I have when I was done. Do not forget to top stitch as well. Yeah, now I'm going to go ahead and use my hemming gum to secure the neckline down so that it lays nice and flat, and I'm going to use my iron to do that. That's why I told you guys that this is optional, but it's a very important step. Okay, and you don't have to actually hem the base of your interfacing if you have a weaving machine. The reason I'm doing this is because I do not have a weaving machine, and I want this top, I want the neckline to be very neat. Okay, the finishing, I want it to be perfect. Now go ahead and iron as you see me doing. Make sure your iron is hot, so once you press your iron on the part you want the interfacing to help you stick together, once your iron is hot, it's going to stick it together. After ironing them, here's what I have, guys. Here's what I have. As you can see, it looks neat, and this is what you should aim for. The next step is to place the back bodies and the front bodies together, right sides facing each other, and go ahead to stitch the shoulders using 0.5 inch seam allowance. Here is what I have when I was done. I'm going to go ahead now and cut off the excess allowance on the shoulder so that it doesn't give me any bulge at that point. I do not want any bulge. So here is what I have, guys. Now let's go over and work on our sleeves. We'll be creating a channel to pass in our elastic, and we are going to create a channel to pass in 0.5 inch elastic twice. Okay, so one on each side of the line. That's how we're going to create the channel. And another way to also achieve this is just to put your elastic directly on the fabric and drag it until you achieve what you want. Exactly what I'm showing you right now. You put your elastic directly on the fabric and drag it, but that is not what I'll be going for, because to me it doesn't turn out as neat as I would love it. If you have 1 inch elastic, you can also use that. Okay, so for the purpose of this video, I'm going to put in my bias tape on each side of the line just to achieve the 1 inch. Okay, I decided to change the color of the bias because that one was not going to be enough for everything I wanted to use it for. So here is the color I will be making use of. Yeah, so here is what I've done. I have stitched them down on both sides twice, like I told you guys, on each side of the line. Okay, so here is what I have. I have also gone ahead to hem the base of the sleeve as well. The next step is to pass in my elastic through the channels. So I'm going to go ahead now to measure the elastic I'm going to be passing through the channels. I went ahead to measure my arm like this, and I'm going to cut out 4 of this, 2 for the right sleeve, 2 for the left sleeve. And you know we have 2 channels, that's why we have 2. Then I'm going to measure my wrist as well, okay, and I am going to cut out 4 pieces as well, 2 for the right and 2 for the left. So this is me measuring my wrist. Here is how I'm going to do it, just as easy as this, easy peasy. I'm going to cut out 4 pieces like I said, and I'm going to go ahead now to pass that into the channels. With the aid of a safety pin, I'll go ahead now and pass in the elastic. Make sure you pass the right size for each channel, okay? So I'll just do this off camera, just any way that is easy for you, passing your elastic through the channel. It's going to take a while. Just take your time, be calm, just make sure you get it done. So guys, I'm done passing in all the elastic, and the next step now is for me to go ahead and attach my sleeve to my top. Yeah, here is what I have. Okay, now in attaching my sleeve to the top, what I'm going to do is to gather the end of the sleeve, that edge here, as you can see. I'm going to gather it a little bit. Can you see? Yeah, I'm going to try to push all the gathers towards the center, and I'll now take half of the sleeve to enable me fix it. I'll go ahead now and fix the sleeve right sides facing each other, like right sides facing the armhole area. Okay, I am going to begin fixing from the middle to the other edge, and I'll come back and continue from that midpoint to the other end. Okay, so here is what I have, guys. I'm done fixing my sleeve, and yeah, the next step is to join all the side seam. Okay, and if you remember, we added 1.5-inch allowance, so I'm going to stitch the sides using 1.5-inch seam allowance. But when I'm going towards the sleeve area, I'm going to use 0.5-inch seam allowance because I don't want to take in my sleeve too much. So for the side seam, I will use 1.5-inch, and for the sleeve area, I'm going to go with 0.5 inches. Here is what I mean. Yeah, as you can see, at the sleeve area I tapered it down and I took just 0.5 inches, while at the side seam area I took 1.5 inches. So guys, we are done. The next thing that I did was to hem my top. I've already hemmed the top using 1-inch allowance. Now I'm going to go ahead to attach my rope. Whilst hemming, guys, I did not hem with the interfacing. As you can see, I didn't hem with the interfacing. Note that. The next step is to work on our rope that we're going to attach to that point. The rope, like I said in the previous video, it is 40 inches long and 4.5 inches wide. Okay, so we're going to go ahead to fold that into 2 and stitch it using 0.25 allowance. Okay, so that by the time we're done, we get 2 inches. Okay, the rope width I would like to work with is 2 inches, so I'm going to be stitching with 0.5-inch allowance. Here's what I have when I was done. I have already gone ahead to flip one of them over. I'm going to go ahead to flip the second one over right now on camera. Note that only one end of the sleeve is supposed to be opened. Okay, the other end should be closed, so you have to stitch that part as well using 0.25 allowance or more depending on what you want. So I'll go ahead now to attach my rope. Guys, before you attach your rope, head over to your sewing machine and hem that interfacing. Hem it. I'm going to show you a visual representation of what I mean. Here's the second one. I am going to hem it into 2 like this, so that place is going to be neat. I hope this is self-explanatory. When I hem it, I'm going to come back and show you guys. Yeah, So after hemming it, you're going to place your top towards the right side and place your rope this way, the exact way I'm doing it. Place it towards the end, ensure that it aligns well so that it comes out neat. Then you flip over that interfacing like this, flip it over like that. And once you are done doing that, you can go ahead and use your pin to secure that so that by the time you go to your sewing machine, it's still in place. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate this again using the second side. Place your fabric towards the right, place the rope, okay, and flip over the interfacing like this. Go ahead and use your pin if you wish to hold it down so that it doesn't move out of place, and go to your sewing machine and stitch that down using the 1 inch allowance at that point. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to go to my sewing machine now, and here is what I have. I will take off the excess allowance at that point to avoid having a bulge. Yeah, and guys, we are basically done attaching our rope to this top. Okay, I'll go ahead now and use my hemming gum to hem the remaining part of that point so that it lays flat. Okay, lastly, we're going to go ahead to create a small hole so that our rope will be able to pass through it, as in wrap, so that when it passes through, our top is going to fit properly. And the size of the hole is going to be the same as the size of the rope. Okay, so I went ahead to loosen that point a little bit. You loosen it a little bit, then you're going to go ahead and back stitch the other area so that it doesn't loosen when you wear the clothes. Yeah, and here is it. If you can notice, my rope is able to pass through this hole. Okay, so just create that little hole on just one side, and it can either be the right side or the left side. It depends on what you want for yourself, and here is the outcome.